So welcome you back again. You're still watching Healthy Morning Show right here on Hstv. And right about now, we're moving away from sports in a minute to the Stay Alive segment, where of course, day in, day out, we educate you on health-related issues so we're able to keep ourselves healthy throughout the day. Now, today we're going to talk about something quite interesting, living with autism in Ghana. Some people feel that autism is not being touched on much in Ghana, and it's quite disturbing. So we have our coordinator for Autism Awareness Center and Training for Autism Awareness Care and Training Center, that is Mr. Abeku Grant, and he's going to educate us on autism, what autism actually is, and how these people even live in the first place. So good morning, Mr. Abeku.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
Thank you very much. I really like your presentation.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Abeku.
Thank you.
I hope you are good today.
Yes, I'm good.
Okay. So today we're going to touch on autism. So first of all, what is autism? Give us an overview of what autism is.
All right. So first of all, I really thank Hstv for this opportunity. And it is very important for us to raise awareness on autism together. So talking about autism, autism is a condition that is characterized by communication, social interaction, and then behavior. So in the area of communication, you may see children above the age of 2, and they are not talking. They are not using speech to communicate. When you ask them something, they are not saying anything in return. You may see somebody who also repeat what you say. When you ask them something, they will repeat what you have said. So for example, what is your name? They may say, what is your name?
Wow.
And then you will find others who are just talking and talking to themselves. They are not even relating it to anybody. But you ask them, what is your name? And they start talking about things they have heard before and or things they have watched on TV.
Okay.
And then when it comes to social interaction, they may not like to go to a place where there are a lot of people.
Okay.
They may not like to play with other children. They like to play alone. They like to know have their personal space for themselves. They don't like anybody to intrude on them.
Wow.
And then they don't understand social cues. So, for example, we expect every child to say thank you when you give them a gift. They don't understand why they should say thank you.
Wow.
And then they don't understand taking turns. So you have to wait for your turn.
Okay.
For example, you are going to buy some food and then you met some people there. They don't understand why they should wait.
They want it early.
Yeah, they want it early. Even it goes to the level where some don't even stay in traffic.
Wow.
Because they can't control. They don't understand why these vehicles are not moving so I can move.
Wow.
And sometimes they will be playing with other people and they may push somebody down and they don't know how to say sorry.
Wow.
They may end up laughing, not because they know they've hurt the person, but because they lack these social rules of engagement. And also when it comes to behaviors, they may have behaviors like restricted patterns. They like to flap their hands. Some may walk on their toes. Some may be touching things. Some may be clapping their hands. Some may be jumping all day. So with this, you will find out that each child above the age of 2, if the child is showing these signs, it means that it is something you have to look at. They are all signs that shows that the person may be on the autism spectrum.
Okay, so when they're doing these tests, are they aware that they are doing this? Are they aware of themselves?
Yes, so they are aware of themselves because that's the ways they are regulating their senses. Because everybody is taking information from the environment. So they are also taking information from their environment and they are regulating themselves. So sometimes you see somebody flapping their arms because he has seen something that is too bright, and he can't control himself, so he may end up flapping his hands. You may see somebody who is blocking his ears because he have heard sounds that is too loud for him, and he may be blocking his ears. And when it comes to autism, you see one person with autism who behave differently, because you see somebody who is blocking their ears, and you see somebody who is going closer to sounds.
Wow.
You will see somebody who get agitated when you present to him like music in a loud music. They would like to enjoy, they will dance around it, and then there is somebody who will also not be able to stand the loud music that is playing. And then they have difficulty with sensory.
Okay.
So we know about our 5 senses
Yeah.
that we are able to use to get information from our environment. So sometimes the lightings can be too bright for them. Even there are people who are on the autism spectrum, they have difficulty walking in the sun because the light is too bright. And then there are some people who have difficulty with smells. So you may put a very nice perfume on you and get closer to them, and they may push you away because the perfume get them agitated, they can't handle it. And then you find people who like to be chewing things all the time.
Wow.
So they get your pen, they chew it, they get your paper, they chew it, you give them food, they chew it. They are always chewing something. So the least opportunity they get to grab something, they just chew them. And then you find that people who have difficulty with touch. So they don't like to be touched. So anytime you try to get closer to them, they want to have their space. They are just going back. And then there are others who also like to be touched. So every time they see you, they will come for the hug, they want you to squeeze them, they want to roll on the floor because they like the feelings of it. And then the sound. That is very important in our environment, everywhere you go. So it looks like it's because of the sound they can't go to the marketplaces. Because you go to the marketplaces and you hear this person shouting this person shouting
so
this,
much noise.
and they are not able to bear those sounds. Apart from these 5 senses, there are other senses that regulate our sense of movement and balance. So there are instances where you need to regulate your senses before you can climb the stairs, or you can descend from a staircase. You need to be able to manage those senses called the proprioception senses. So you need to regulate that. And within us, there are a lot of things that is controlling our bodies because of sensory. So we have the part of the body that controls you using the washroom, you feeling angry, you want to eat. And if these senses are not working properly, there may be children who will be eating, they get the food, they eat. You bring them, they eat. Unless they see that the food is finished in their house, they will still continue to eat.
They never get satisfied.
They never get satisfied. So because they can't regulate that sensory aspect, that is telling you that, oh, you are full. And they can't also regulate that aspect that says, I am hungry. So most of them, they eat according to time. Because when you train them to be structured. So they follow their time. So if they eat their breakfast at 7, every 7 they go for their breakfast. If they eat their lunch at 12, every 12 they go for their lunch. If their supper is at 4, they go for their supper at 4. And then there are some of them that have sleeping difficulties. And because they may have so much energy, sometimes the time we are all supposed to sleep, they still have more energy. And the part of the sensory system that will regulate them to be able to know that it is sleeping time maybe it is not working properly. So because of that, they can stay awake all night.
Wow.
And then when it is morning, they can decide to take some nap.
Wow. So do we have some of them developing aggression over time?
Yeah, so because they have difficulty communicating and interacting with others, they sometimes show aggression. Okay. Because if you are the one who want to express your need, and you can't say it, and nobody is understanding you, you become aggressive.
Definitely.
So becoming aggressive sometimes is because they can't tell you what they want. So one example is, let's say the light in this room is too bright for me, and then I want to tell you that the light is too bright, but I can't say it. So I decide that I want to get out of here.
Okay.
And then you say I should still sit down. You force me to sit down. So I'll get aggressive. So this is the things that makes them aggressive, is because they can't manage the things in our environment. And it is not because they have intentionally decided to be aggressive.
Oh, okay, I see. So autism, what causes one to develop it in the first place?
All right. So with the cause of autism, there has been a lot of research. But as at today, there is no known cause.
Wow.
You can't say there is something that really causes autism. But when you come to Ghana, there are a lot of misconceptions.
Okay.
And usually when we see children behave, one of the things people say is that their parent didn't bring them up well. So they have bad parents. And then some people also say the parents have used them for money rituals.
Wow, that's why they're behaving.
That's why they are behaving like that. Some people say that they are not children that belongs to our earth. They are not here. They need to be taken to where they belong. So the moment they find somebody showing these signs, then they want to go and throw the person away. And some people also think it is because of you insulted somebody when you were pregnant.
So you've been cursed?
So you've been cursed. That is why you have a child that is autistic. But all these things are things that people are perceiving that it is. But I have been in this field for some time, and I have seen people diagnose more even outside Ghana.
Wow.
And they don't believe in this rituals and things, but they still have children on the autism spectrum.
Yeah.
So there are misconceptions that when people engage more, you engage with somebody who has autistic person, you may end up giving birth to autistic child. I remember when I started working in the field of autism, my friends told me that, Abiku, you become like them. I said, how?
How?
So then I was still with them. After 10 years, I got married. When I got married, they came to me again and advised me, you won't quit this job because you can give birth to a child with autism.
Oh, no.
And I have 2 children.
Wow.
And I'm not saying they are not autistic, but I have not diagnosed them autistic. The truth is that knowing about autism will expose you to different stages of development.
Okay.
And because of that, when you see a child from the beginning stage, you'll be able to give that child the necessary support to get better.
Yeah.
So when you see a child who is not talking, by 1 year is not making any sound, it means that you make a move to find out how you can support this child to start making sound. Okay. And at the end, we call it early intervention. So it is always important that you know about child development, so you can be able to engage that child to develop according to their milestones or according to their age and their developmental level. So I can't say that any of my children is autistic or not, because I don't see autism as a disability any longer.
You see it as a development?
Yes, so I see autism as another ability.
Oh, okay.
So there are a lot of things that autistic people do that regular people cannot do. Because I have a lot of instances. I have seen an autistic child who will color a sheet of paper and you see it like a printout.
Wow. And
I've seen autistic child who is able to swim just like any fish.
Wow.
Can swim like the fish.
And are they taught to do this stuff?
Yes. Sometimes there are things that comes natural and they pick up things so quickly.
Wow.
So when they see things that happen, they just pick them up. There are children who can play video games. I know somebody who can play Temple Run and he will not be looking on the
screen.
On the screen.
Wow.
And still be playing. He knows when to jump, when to come down, when to turn around. He knows when to maneuver. So he's just going.
Wow.
And these are things that sometimes we don't look at. We look at the difficulties and then we focus more on the difficulties and then we leave out the things they are improving in. So for example, the child with autism is not talking. So everybody is focused on how will my child be able to talk? How will my child be able to talk? But talking doesn't necessarily mean you are communicating. Because there are a lot of people who may be talking and may be talking to themselves. There are people who may be talking but they don't understand social rules of language. And talking alone doesn't make you an independent person, because you can go to the shopping mall and decide to zip your mouth, go there, get everything you want and come out without talking. So people focus more on talking and then they leave the other milestones, because talking is just one part of communication and it is the tiny part of communication. But before you can talk, you have to be able to listen. You have to be able to share joint attention. You have to be able to play with other people. You have to be able to decode symbols, build understanding from words. Then you start expressing yourself. Then the speech will start coming. So speech is actually the last thing you do. But people look at the speech and they leave the play out, they leave the joint attention out, they leave building attention and building understanding. So our focus should not only be on the speech, we should look at how people, because there are people who can communicate without speech. Now technology is growing. So we have the applications that you can use on your iPads or on your computers to be able to speak your mind. And we use something also that is called picture exchange communication system. So it is communicating with pictures. So when you want to say something, you show the picture of what you want to say. Without using speech, you can still communicate.
People will understand you. Okay. So previously you were saying some of them, they're fast in processing stuff. Are there others that are also slow in processing that?
Yeah, so autism is a spectrum and it affects everybody differently. So there are persons with autism who can live a regular life without so much stress on them. And there are others who will need 24-hour support to be able to live. So in between these people, there are the people who are very smart and who have very high IQ, who can do all our mathematics and science in school. And there are others who may learn something, they may have intellectual disability, and they learn something today, they forget. Tomorrow they have to learn it again. and then they learn over and over and over again. So it affects everybody different, and people do things different. But we all have to look at what the child is interested in, and how we can help that individual to develop that skills.
Okay. So you're saying it affects people differently. Does gender play a role in how different it affects, let's say, a male and a female?
Yeah. So according to research, autism affects more males than females. When you go into it, you get a ratio of 4:1. So you get 4 males before you can get 1 female.
Wow.
So it's obviously there that when you come to our center, we have about 3 females with over 28 males.
Wow.
So obviously autism is a condition for more males than females.
Okay. So now let's move to the pregnant women. For a pregnant woman, how is she going to be able to detect that my child is going to be an autistic person?
All right. So a pregnant woman cannot detect an autistic child. Neither let's say a scientist, even somebody in the field of science doing medicine will be able to diagnose a child with autism in the womb, because autism is a behavior and communication thing. So you have to see the child
Before.
and through the behavior of the child, that is when you can say that he's autistic or he's showing signs of autism. But in the womb, you can't see anything that the child is autistic or is not.
It's not. Okay. So how do you diagnose autism?
All right. So diagnosing autism, first of all, you have to see some of the red flags. So if the child is like 18 to 24 months, he should start at least saying 1 word. He should start playing with other people. He should start engaging in joint attention. He should be able to start getting feedbacks from other people. He should smile when somebody is playing with them. And when you see a child who is at this age and the child is not showing any of these signs, he doesn't look at where somebody else is looking, he doesn't even tend to listen to sound, he doesn't even know the difference between the parent and other people, then it is a sign that we call red flags. So when you see these red flags, then you have to proceed to the hospital. So when you go to the hospital, you have to see a pediatrician. You don't just go and see any doctor.
Okay.
So you see a pediatrician who will look into the child, who will look to the child and then study the behavior of the child and be able to start the diagnosis process. So diagnosing autism is an engagement between professionals. So one person don't just sit down and then say, my child or your child is autistic. So there is a team that need to come together, because if somebody is not talking, you have to ask yourself, can he hear you? Is the person hearing what is being said? It means there is a need to see a speech therapist or an audiologist who will look at the ear and make sure that the child can hear you. And then a speech therapist who will look at it, and then you have to see a psychologist. So all these people have to come together to be able to look at the child before they can come out with a conclusion that the child is autistic. But one person sitting there, even there is a need for the nanny at home to be part of the diagnosis. Because the nanny at home and the parent, they are all observing the child. So they will be asked questions in relation to the child's development. So the answers that will come out and the observation of the child will help to come out with a diagnosis.
So some of the kids, you can see that they don't normally react to certain, let's say you want to play with a kid. The kid is not smiling and all that, so that is a sign of the child being autistic.
And that could be.
Could be.
Yeah, but you can't say that is because the signs need to be numerous. It is not just one way. It has to come from the communication aspect, the social interaction aspect, and then some restricted patterns of behavior.
Okay. So what are some of the factors that can increase the risk of a child developing autism?
This is something that everybody wants to know so they can run away from it. But obviously, the risk, you cannot pinpoint any risk. But according to research, there is something in connection with the environment and then the genes.
Okay.
So, and these are things you cannot avoid because the gene is your makeup. So if you are black, obviously if you are born by a black parent, you become black. So you can't change anything about it. And then the environment you'll be born in will also influence your life. So it is about environment. So when you get pregnant, most people will be advised that you stay away from a lot of fumes that get into your system. You stay away from unprescribed medications. You stay away from engaging in activities that could be harmful to the pregnancy. But aside that, there is nothing to say that when you do this, you may not have a child on the spectrum. Most parents have identified things at the last time they are going to deliver, the delivering stage. So most people say, oh, they had a cord around the child's neck. So that could be one of the reasons why the child is autistic. So people are finding things, but you can't obviously put some risk factors down that this could be risk. Everything is risk because there are people who have been born who didn't go through all these risk factors, but they still have children on the spectrum. And this is what makes autism very difficult to understand.
Wow. So would you say so autism is hereditary, if I should get you?
According to research, if you have a child with autism in your family, there is a probability that there will be another person with autism in your family.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Because there is somebody who gave birth to 3 children and all the 3 children are autistic. Yeah, but there are some who have given birth to 4 children and they have 1 autistic child.
And didn't affect the rest?
It didn't affect the rest.
Okay.
So it is nothing that is on, like it is just there fixed, that when you do this, this is going to happen, obviously.
Okay. So then moving away from this, let's move straight to diets. Would you say diets can have an impact on an autistic person or autism?
Yeah. So diet is very important for human life because we say that we are what we eat.
Yeah.
So diet is not only for autistic people. Diet is for everybody.
Yeah.
Because whatever you eat will help you to grow how you want to grow. And autistic people, there are some who are very hyperactive.
Okay.
And then there are food that can make you more hyperactive. So it is better to stay away from food that gives you more energy when you already have energy that you have not burnt.
Okay.
So you have to stay away from them. There are some children with autism who have digestion problems, and they can't tell you that this is what is worrying me. So any food that could cause them to have indigestion, you have to stay away from it. So it is not just like this food or that food. You have to look at the food and find out which one is good for my system or for the system of the autistic child. Sometimes we learn through observation. If you give the child a certain food and you realize that this food is not helping that child to develop well, you have to stop. And this food is not helping the child to develop his attention, you have to stop. So obviously we start eating from what we have in our environment, and it is always good to eat from a natural source.
Okay, so on the screens I can see we have a child drawing, and that's a beautiful giraffe right there. And I can see, so that's an autistic child drawing a giraffe over there. And as you were saying earlier, that these kids have talents. One of them painted something that was quite fascinating. So right there we have a kid drawing a giraffe. Wow, that's quite beautiful. So so it means that these kids, the autism, it comes with talents and different sorts of beautiful abilities and all that.
Yes, autism person or autistic person is just like any other person. So we are all born with gifts and talents. But because somebody is autistic, he didn't get the opportunity to explore. So let's say that my gift is cooking, or the talent is cooking. And then because I'm autistic, you don't let me go to the kitchen. How will I be able to develop that skill?
That gift.
And exposure is the key. We have to be able to expose our children, whether they are autistic or not, to the environment, so that they can be picking the things they are interested in. Everybody is talented, everybody is gifted, but autistic people are more focused.
Yeah, okay.
So when they find out what they are interested in, they just do that. Nothing takes their attention. So this is the reason why they are able to do it well and do it better.
I see. Quite interesting. Okay, so now talking about autistic people, would you say that they moving into the marriage space is going to be okay for them? Are they going to be able to live well with their partners?
This is a big question that has been asked for a very long time. But I'm going to share my opinions on that. I think marriage is for everybody. It depends on the partners, what they understand they are going into. So if you understand you are going to marry an autistic person, you have to fully understand what you are going into. But I think autistic persons who have the capabilities can marry, because there are autistic persons who are working. They are working, they are making their own, they are living their life. They should be able to marry. And marriage is something that is in two folds. It's two partners going into an agreement. So if you understand that this is my condition, and you are able or you are willing to be with me as such, why not? I think autistic persons can marry based on the fact that I have my autistic brother, and the things he does, I can't do. So, for example, he's able to help everybody to wash. Everybody. It doesn't matter whether you are the junior sister, you are the elder sister or not. He will help you to wash. He will wash your utensils for you. He will cook for you. He will actually do everything to support you willingly. And I don't think I have the time for that. Because sometimes we can say, I am tired, this is your role, this is what you have to do. But this person is autistic and he goes through the extra mile to be very supportive to the people at home. So I don't think this person is not capable to marry.
Yeah.
One of the things we are afraid of is because we have heard that autism could be genetic. We are afraid that a person with autism will go and reproduce somebody who is also autistic. And that is the big thing that is in our heads. And we don't know what God is preparing for us.
Yeah.
But I think autistic person can marry based on the skills and capabilities they have. Because there are some autistic persons who need 24-hour support.
Wow.
So when you are going to marry this person, you have to know that you are going to be the one who will give him that support. And sometimes it is not because they have decided to be dependent on others, but it is because they didn't get early intervention.
Okay.
So early intervention means that they get support early, they get training early. But sometimes we don't look into early support and early interventions. We are searching for the cure. So searching for the cure exposes you to be going around to hospitals, to the churches, to the shrines, to find the cure for the autistic child. And the time you realize the child is 12 years and he's still in diaper. The child is 12 years and he still needs to be fed. The child is 12 years, he can't dress up. It is because we didn't focus on how to engage the child to do activities for himself, but we were thinking of how we can get some magic to take away the autism from that individual.
So that is how some of them need the 24-hour support and others can go without the 24-hour support.
Certainly.
Oh, okay. So now, talking more about this autism, when it comes to autistic people, so you said they could work in the formal space, they won't have any difficulties and stuff. Now let's talk about how people treat them in that space.
All right. So with the work and the treatment, we started a project called On the Job Training. So we went to the factories to go and work. So we started with 6 autistic adults. So they were all given different departments and they were working. They were working effectively. And even there was one child at the ceiling who is doing some particular work, and he's doing it better than the people who have been employed.
Wow.
And we volunteered for 3 months on the job, working effectively. But because we are autistic, they did not employ us.
Wow. Even though you were good at what you were doing?
Yes, even though we were good, they didn't employ us. And when people see us, they look at us, they say, this is the robot. People look at us with some eye that we are strange people. Meanwhile, we are working so efficiently and effectively. But because of the name tag, people are not employing us. We have moved to 3 companies and none of them employed us. So a lot of times we have to do voluntary works just to prove to people that autistic people are capable. And we end up getting one job as a data entry assistant. So one autistic man is working as a data entry assistant for Inclusion Ghana. And then there was also in his time publications where one of our adults with autism is also working as a bookbinder. And aside that, we have worked in different places, and now we have an offer to work at Aquadot water company because we did some voluntary work and they realized that autistic people are good and they can work like any other person. So I think given the opportunity, people with autism can work. And one of the things about them is they are very consistent.
Wow.
If they have to go to work, whether rain or shine,
they will go.
They will go.
Okay. Okay, interesting. So now let's talk about some of the treatment options for autism. Are there any treatment options for it?
Yes. So in autism, one of the biggest treatment options start from home. Is parent training.
Okay.
Parents should be able to engage the autistic child in their daily activities. Don't say my child is autistic, so he doesn't need a kitchen. He doesn't need a washing. He doesn't need to even serve food. He doesn't need to do things other siblings are doing. The child needs to be engaged in their everyday activities. Every activity that happens at home, the child needs to be engaged. But it happens that people want the specialty. So they go and see the specialist. Okay. The specialist will give you a consultation. You cannot be with the specialist for over 8 hours. And example is you go and see the speech therapist. The speech therapist cannot engage your child for more than 4 hours. So you have like 18 hours or 20 hours to live with your child. So what are you doing with the child? So the speech therapist will teach you what to do with the child. So after learning it from the speech therapist, you go home and you practice. You don't leave the child and expect the child to start talking when they go and see the speech therapist. Then there is also OT, an occupational therapy. That is also being able to engage the child to use his muscles, to use his hands, his smaller muscles to do things. And I think they will also consult you. But as a parent, you have the big platform to train your child. You understand your child better and you need to engage your child. If every parent of autistic child is able to engage their children like any other child, we will find autistic people to blossom.
Wow.
Because most people will say, oh, let me go and find money to take care of my autistic child. So they leave their autistic child for somebody and they go and find money to pay for the person. And then after paying, they expect that professional to be engaging the child all the time, and the parents sit and watch. But it is a big deal for a parent to engage the child. There is no therapy will work if the parent become reluctant. You can take your child to the special school, but the child will be there and close, come home, come and be with you. The child will learn all the social skills from home and independent skills from home. So when you are not teaching your child to bath, you won't expect the speech therapist or the school to teach your child to bath. You need to learn independent living skills. And you should engage the child to learn independent living skills. Let the child be involved in all the activities you are doing at home. Don't say he's autistic, so he will not do it. It is difficult because parents are parents. It is always difficult for them. But you have to start so that you get used to. Because the more it becomes very difficult for you when the child is young, that you can control the child. Imagine when the child has become an adult that you can't control. Is that going to be the time you start to engage the child? Engagement starts from now. And as parent, if you see signs, if you see that your child is showing signs of not talking, seek support. Ask questions. Find out why. Don't sit and say the grandmother didn't talk early. The grandfather didn't talk early, so he will talk later. Please seek intervention.
Okay, interesting. So before we wrap up, you are the coordinator for Autism Awareness Care and Training Center. So wrapping up, I just want you to give us a little information about that center and what you do and your information as well.
All right. So our name is Autism Awareness Care and Training Center. You can read more about us on aactghana.org.
Okay.
And we are located at Hachu. So basically what we do is we train children with autism and their families. The reason why the families become very important to us is we only engage the children from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Yeah.
So after 4 p.m., it is mandatory for the parent to engage the autistic child.
Okay.
So we make sure that we give you the support and the training to be able to engage the child at home, so that the training or the skills gained in the school or at the center will be continued at home.
Yeah.
Because we are all working at helping the child to develop independent life. So when you come to the center, we do functional academic skills, we do communication and language development, we do vocational skills training, and then we do self-help skills development. So in this area, we have realized that there are a lot of children who need skills, vocational skills, so they can sit at home and build something for themselves. So when you come to our center, we have children who are into tailoring, we have children who are into kente weaving, we have children who are into braiding. So like your rasta like this, we have autistic children who can do it nicely for you. And we have children who are into arts, and then we have children who are even learning to cook.
Wow.
So when you come to the center, these are the things we do, and our major thing we do is awareness.
Okay.
Because we want everybody to be aware of autism, so that in case you find somebody who is showing those red flags I talk about, you can get closer to the person, you can give the person that support, you can find intervention early for that individual. Because community becoming aware of what autism is will help the autism community to develop, and will help autistic people to get opportunities to explore. And we always say that every child has gifts, and it needs somebody with the right mind to support them to come out with their maximum potentials.
Okay, so before we end the segment, I'd like you to put out your contacts for my viewers.
All right, so to contact the Autism Awareness Care and Training Center, you can call us on 024-926-7871. 024-926-7871. Or you can reach out to 0244-325-919. 0244-325-919.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much as well. So that was Mr. Abeku Grant, who is the coordinator for Autism Awareness Care and Training Center. We've learned so much about autism. As he said, you can contact them on aactghana.org and also get your information about autism. So right about now, we're ending the Stay Alive segment, and James is going to come in with In Focus, where there's going to be an exclusive interview. You don't want to miss out on that as well. Let's go for a quick 10. In Focus comes in soon.